I didn't have the rest of it.
I voted it too.
All right, it's time to start our meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. Forum, Debbie, Sarah, myself, Tony, Miss Shirley, Michael, and Rusty present. Ask Miss Shirley if she'll lead us in the invitation and the pledge.
Heavenly Father, we love you and thank you, Lord, for thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for every child and for those examples. We appreciate all the stuff. Special faith, coming, going, and on.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Last time. Need to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. If anybody has any questions? Motion made by Ms. Shirley, seconded by Farrah. All in favor? Any opposed? Then we have our student recognition. Who's going to take care of it? Good recognition, Mr. Merkel. Who wants to start?
I
Who's
think
first?
Mr. Mayfield, or,
I did not, I didn't know it was due work in this.
No, it's not for her, it was just for.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can recognize it.
There's plenty to celebrate.
Hi, everyone. I would like to recognize Ms. Annabelle Hudson. She, in December, advanced to our area contest for our job interview contest in FFA. And it's a pretty huge feat for our kids. It's a tough contest. And so Annabelle did a fantastic job. And so advancing from our district is a pretty tough battle. And she advanced into area and did very well. So we're very proud of her.
All right, so now I'm gonna drag in my goons that are not near as pretty as Miss Esmond, but, a good group of guys anyhow. All right, so this year was the first year that our projects were done in time to make the early spring shows, starting in January. On January 12th, we traveled to the Fort Worth, stock show where both of our trailers competed, and Fort Worth are in the same class, low boy deck over, all goosenecks competed together. The 40-foot deck over built by Luke Williams, Audie Lucas, Colton, just stand here pretty. Anyway, so Luke, Audie, Colton Bracken, and Kate Schroeder, they're in the deer lease stuck in the mud hole right now. You couldn't be here. They placed third in the gooseneck trailers class. There were, I think, 12 gooseneck trailers in total in that class from across the state. They placed third. Pretty awesome deal being able to make Fort Worth on time with the quality project they brought. So proud of these guys. That was with the 40-foot deck up we built for the school. I don't know if y'all seen it, but it's kind of silly. Moving on to February 1st, we traveled to San Angelo. That's a hike. We'll go on to that later. The 35-foot gooseneck built by Tony Kirkendall, Grayson Vanyo, Elijah Rodriguez, and Lee Zarenda placed second in class, full of 18 other low-boy gooseneck trailers from across the state. So out of 19 from across the state, these boys had a second place trailer. Pretty awesome stuff. The 40-foot deck over, again built by Luke, Audie, Colton, and Cade. They placed second in the deck over class full of 11 different trailers. And they went on to win reserve grand champion gooseneck trailer of the entire show. There were 40 plus gooseneck trailers there. That means they were second best in the entire state of who was there. That's awesome. So to win reserve champion or grand champion of your division, you almost can't really get better than that. So I can't be more proud of the guys. We look forward to traveling more. Thanks to the school board and our admin and our principals for allowing us to run and go and keep us on the straight and narrow. We can't do what we do without the support of y'all and the community. Great school board, glad to work for y'all. Thanks for having us.
Come on around, shake your hand, we'll come over there and take a picture.
Yeah. Do you want to walk together?
While we're taking pictures, I want to talk about our jackets. This year we wanted to kind of class things up a notch by wearing a blazer, but we still got to have a wow factor, right? And sequins did. Sequins did.
And you made the San Angelo News.
We did. I may have scared some. I sent a text to my admin team saying, "Hey, we made the news." And we were in a good way though, because the news anchor was walking around and was like, "I've got to talk to y'all," and they talked. And she was a very pretty girl, and our guys are very humbled by talking to her. They did great. They did great. Sure, Braxton didn't know what
Smile on their face, and if you look at
one song.
Mr. Merrill, y'all out there, this big baby dress pants, be all honest.
Well, we should do that. We do straight disco. Which is good, because my date's wearing white.
They see this whole dress.
What, you say, Luke?
Oh, no.
Ma'am, we don't. Don't say-
Oh, yeah.
There's a hole in the floor. Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
Y'all.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm working together after my February, report. Okay. Some areas of concerns that we're addressing right now is the seniors and juniors not graduating. We have some seniors who did not earn credit due to attendance issues. Okay, and, high school you have four, and you have to be there 80% of the time. When you drop below that, you either have to make up that day or you don't get credit for the course. And so we're really encouraging those attendance levels to be up, especially for our seniors who are here and there, you're and then if you look at the last bullet, the students causing damage to plumbing and multiple restrooms, increased bathroom monitors. We're continuing to have some difficulties in the restrooms, mainly the closed restrooms. With them causing few damage, but a lot of just mischief, toilet paper and just misusing the restroom facilities. Causing havoc for our custodian and our maintenance individuals. If you look down at enrollment, we're still at 258. Our attendance from January this semester, from January to February 2nd, it's low. It's in the 90s and y'all see some 88s and 89s in there. But I'm going to tell you, COVID and the flu has got us. And right now we are still on making a quarantine for COVID. And so one of our students has positive for COVID. They have to be out for 5 days. And so we have to hold to that based on things to go on. And that causes our attendance rates to drop. Our numbers for discipline, it didn't rise very much since the last board report, which was in November or December. In fact, we've had a good run here for a while, except we've had a couple extra GAP placements due to vaping and then so that's what I would say there. And if you look, we are attempting to use Friday school as a alternative to ISF. We really want to go in the classrooms, getting that instruction from the teacher in that classroom and being a part of that group instead of in a disciplinary placement. So we're trying to get those Friday ISF, but also using Friday school to make up attendance. And we have a lack of attendance there and participation in that, which causes ISF problem. And then we had our special recognition. Any questions?
I actually let you jump ahead a little bit.
Oh, did you?
So as the required annual report, the 23-year West Martin CCISD racial profiling for the Van Atkins
All right, so once a year, TCO, the state agency that oversees all law enforcement agencies in the state, require that each agency do either a full racial profiling report or an exempt report regarding motor vehicle stops. If you do an exempt report, that means that your agency has a policy that you do not do any kind of motor vehicle or traffic stops at all. That being said, it's all public information, so you can go in there and download the previous year's racial profiling for every agency in the state. And I did that this past week for my research, and I just want to say, looking out, I know with the exception of Mr. Ross, all of the constables' offices in Hardin County, some of the other school districts, several smaller agencies, they're filing exempt reports, which, when you look at that, tells me that they're not going out, they're not stopping cars, they're not out doing patrol presence in the community, doing proactive law enforcement. Well, I think everybody here, with maybe the exception of Mr. Wells, was on the school board when y'all elected to have the police department here. And coming from my prior agency and all the complaints that we got from the community, I know it's not shy of anybody here to say that law enforcement presence in this community is really lacking. Well, whenever you make the police department, the school board, as you know, gets to decide the jurisdiction of that police department, and y'all elected for this department's jurisdiction to be within the entire school district territory of Hardin County, which is basically all of precinct 6, which is about the size of all of Newton County itself. So not being confined to just the walls of the actual school, and actually being able to go out and enforce what needs to be done in the whole school district. And we don't have law enforcement presence here, well, there's gonna be some traffic stops. Y'all see me out there, doing school zone, with the exception of the last year. We'll get to that on the actual report as to why the numbers are low. We all know that I've had some vehicle problems the past year, but it's no stranger. I might get a call from Miss Lacy, and she might say, "Hey, Dan, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, out on 1293 every morning whenever I pick my kids up, I got 18-wheeler that's blowing my doors off." Well, you better believe on Thursday, I'm gonna be out there sitting watching that school bus if I passes it, they get a ticket. Being able to go out, if I get this has happened, and I've done it a lot last year and this year, I might get a parent call me in the morning and say, "Hey, little Johnny, you don't want to come to school today, he's having some mental health problems, and we don't know what to do." Well, if you're one of the other districts where your jurisdiction is confined to the walls, they're pretty much gonna get on the phone and say, "Well, so, I can recommend y'all some resources, and y'all choose what to do." But when I get that call, I'm gonna drive out there and I'm gonna sit with them. I do that. So we do a full racial profile report. That's y'all should have a copy on your computer. It's required that we do it every year. And I wanted to say thank you for allowing me to do what I do. And I know I get all the compliments. Y'all don't hear it enough, but it shouldn't be a compliment for me. It's just a job. The community thanks you for allowing us to have this department the way that we do. Any questions on the report? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is to consider the action on the out of state trip request for ag. Stacy?
Hi, again. I have gotten an invitation from McNeese State University at Lake Charles to go to their CDE Invitational on March the 7th. It would entertain our vet team. This year, I am coaching a vet team, a livestock team, horse team, floriculture team, AgCom. We did tractor tech. just to kind of fill you in on Tractor Tech, boys did amazing, boys and girls, I had 2 boys and girls on the team, made of 8th graders and one freshman, and so they did fantastic, beating 3 other teams in the area, coming in 7th. There was 11 teams in our area that competed, and I couldn't be prouder of them for this year. Next year, they've got some shoes to fill, and they're hungry to get to the state, top 3 teams to get to the state. And so we're really excited about that. So Tractor Tech team did great, but all our other teams carry out through the rest of the spring, and we have gone to Deer Park Invitational already. And so they've got a lot of work to do, but we're excited to be building all the teams here for CBEs at West Hartman. Again, I've got livestock, I have vet, floral, ag communications, horse judging, entomology. So there's quite a few teams that we're training, and each of those teams have 4 kids on it. And so it's been a juggle of when to do practices and everything else, but the best way to practice is going to some of these contests. And one of the reasons I don't want to go to the Canadian State contest is because it gives us kids the exposure to another college campus, for them to see another institute that they think is learning for them. So I just would like to thank y'all for letting us do what we do, and respectfully ask that we could go to Canadian for the contest. It's on an overnight, it's usually at 5:30 in the morning. Come back same day, be back probably about 4:30, 5 o'clock. So it's just a quick trip over. It's actually a shorter distance for that contest than it is for School 80 to our other contest. But it is across the border, so.
Our bylaws say we have to ask who she will say. Right. Any questions? Right. I'd like to entertain a motion to grant this request to take this out-of-state trip. Motion from Shirley, seconded by Michael. All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank y'all very much. Thank you.
Well, all right. Public speech and debate out-of-state trip. Ms. Peak.
I've been a few before, and it's a statement that's finally gotten me. Every year we go to, as you're probably aware, NSDA National. The way that works is Texas is divided into NSDA districts, which are all about the size of a small state. So like New Jersey has an NSDA district of 1. California has like 20, Texas has like 20. If you win your district, you are able to go to the NSDA district. I mean, national competition, I really love that. This year it's in Des Moines. Last year, what did we do? Last year it was Phoenix. And it's obviously overnight. That's all I have. I'm going to let Logan talk to you about why I think it's important to go from his point of view to see all these issues.
Logan Wells, not to be confused with Rusty, I still have my hair.
That's love, right?
Your voice. Most of y'all know me. I've been a member of the speech and debate team for 3 years now, vice president of West Hartman Performers. So one of my favorite quotes ever actually happened last week at the Nederland Academic Meet. We stopped at a McDonald's on the way home, and Leon actually told me this. He goes up to the counter, and then he's talking with the guy working there. He goes, "Who are these kids in the suits that come up?" I go, "I don't know, but ain't none of them working at McDonald's." Absolutely sure. These are some of the smartest kids we have. So there's a couple of reasons I think we should go to NSDA. Is one, just because of the prestige that the event holds. Furthermore, this gives the kids a lot of competition, and finally, it gives you exposure to the next level of college. So NSDA, National Speech and Debate Association, founded in 1925 in Wisconsin, coming up on 100 years of history. Not the top 10, not the top 5, but the largest academic competition in the world. Thousands of kids, the elite of the elite, gather in one city to debate multiple different events, from one-on-one debates to 5-on-5 to reading woven pieces to gather your emotions, competing in multiple different events in order to try to win nationals. A couple notable alumni of NSDA: Chadwick Boseman, Wakanda Forever, Brad Pitt, Zac Efron, multiple different people graduated graduated from the National Speech and Debate Association and our alumni, it gives your kids an opportunity to experience the prestige of something like that. So I think that's the first major reason we should think of kids. Second, gives you great competition. Probably don't know, I won 2A state twice, once this year, once last year. 2A state means absolutely nothing. It does not matter. Colleges are going to go, oh, a 2A kid. It doesn't mean much. But I got to prove myself at nationals, finished 22nd in my class. This gives an opportunity to get out of just 2A, Texas, UIL, and give the kids an opportunity to compete against people who are going to colleges on full rides because of their exposure. 5A, 6A kids from all over the world. Like we had a student last year, Willa Brackett, debated against a South African student. Like you get exposure to a bunch of different diversity, a bunch of different competition. It gives you opportunities to really create and learn. And lastly, this gives exposure to college. 3 of the 4 colleges on my final wish list were actually exposed to me at MSTA. So you're not only going to compete, but you're also going to go to basically a college fair. You're going to walk booth to booth and tell these people, these are my accolades. This is what I've done. I want to go to college. And they're going to say, we have scholarships for you. Come and visit us. This is what we want to do for your future. They're going to offer them scholarships. They're going to get a bunch of exposure to international schools, states that have programs that are built for them. It gives them an opportunity for exposure. So I don't think we should just be encouraging us going to competition. I think we should be involved about it. Give the kids what they want, not McDonald's.
How many kids are going? How many kids?
You know,
That depends
we
on
do
how
not
many
know, it
qualify.
has to be wins at the MSTA.
Last year we sent 6. The year before that we sent 3.
It's not like that.
No,
It's
ma'am.
not like the whole cast.
No.
No.
It's a really
Six
fundraised by us.
is a really large amount to bring. I think I brought only have 6 or 7 twice, but for the most part, it's 2 or 3 kids. And this year I would expect that because my seniors last year all graduated. So I'm not expecting a whole lot. I mean, they're working hard, but we're not there yet. Any other questions?
Like supervision.
Um,
I'm talking about safety wise.
Right, yes. Obviously, I know, this last year Josiah and Amanda both went, because we also have to judge. And so what we usually do is one of us is in charge of kids, dropping them off on their sites and all of those things, and the other 2 judge all that. Because it's like $250 a day for any judge you don't provide, and it's a 5-day. And it's in the summer. And it's in the summer. It's in June.
Any other questions?
How long have y'all been doing this?
This would be our 11th, and last year we got recognized as a tournament for 10 years.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Entertain a motion to send our speech and debate team out of state on this request. Who made a motion? Michael, seconded by Debbie. All in favor? Any opposed? 11 years.
Thank you.
Very well said. You should do that speech. You got to go home. All right, person in finance, Mr. Smith.
All right, all of our 1099s, 1095s, and W-2s were issued to employees before the 31st, which was good. In our weekly update that I was giving you guys, I had some issues with that with the government and everything, but it all turned out great. I just went this week, Tuesday, to Region 5 to set up the 24-25 budget to open it up in the sender so we can start working on that. I can't believe we talked about this. It feels like we just got done with last year's budget. I'll start creating my budget calendar that I give you guys, doing needs assessments with everyone within the district, looking at our financial trends, meeting with the superintendent. He and I'll have a couple of meetings, the principals, athletic directors, maintenance, all of our different departments, just to see what our needs are. I completed a kind of a mid-year budget analysis, just kind of looking at where things are at, specifically looking at our PIT codes, because that's the money that we get from the state, and you have to spend a certain amount. Some it's 100% of the money, some of it's just 55%, depends on the different PIT code. I had over budgeted CTE money in that PIT code, so I got with Mr. Hessman, and we're going to take in some of that money and allocating it in different places that we need and getting it out of that PIT code so we don't spend over what we have to spend. I scholarship program. And also, we've been underspending the last 3 years in that. So the state's given us the opportunity to spend that money. What Mr. Hessman and I, he had some contacts over GT program stuff. We made some phone calls. And the quickest way for us to be able to spend that money we have to spend or pay it back is I'm going to be changing the CCMR teachers' pay code because we can use that as a GT because of what she's teaching and the GT kids that are in that class. So that'll fix that issue. Our other pay codes like special ed, dyslexia, college and career, early childhood, the ESL, all that was good. Everything else was good. This is something new this year I've started doing, just trying to, not wait to the end of the year as we go each month, just making sure we're kind of on track for spending. I had a company called RCI come out. This is something that Penny had started a long time ago. They come out, they look at our records. There's a lot of different laws that I don't fully understand or know them all because they change. And there's different retention times you have to keep records, some forever, some for 5 years. So what they do is they come out, they look at our archive room, they'll actually take the records, group them together, box them, they put a big sticker on it. This can be destroyed October 2025, whatever. Then they even organize the room for me and put them in order of destruction when they need to be done. So we've done that. They're supposed to do that every 3 years, but it's been 6 years since we did it. My goal is we have a ton of records we can destroy now that I did not know about. We're gonna have those all destroyed, and the goal would be, I told Mr. Hessman, is I'd love to be able to take that old archive room. If we get most of that digitized, which every year they come and get 15 to 20 boxes from us and digitize it so we can just look it up online. If we can get all that out of there, is to kind of open up that room to possibly be another classroom, testing room, just more room for the high school, which we all know is limited. The school bus that was involved in the wreck in the front of the school was totaled by the insurance company. It was so new that we got $4,000 for it. So, what we've done with it is we have it in the back, and John is going to be using that to pull parts off to fix the buses as they go down. Gary and I have been, the last 3 weeks, we've kind of been just playing around with running checks on Wednesdays only, which I kind of discussed last board meeting, you guys doing that. So that way I can keep the majority of our money in Lone Star and only have to move it out at certain times. It's working very well between her and I doing that. I mean, we've kind of gotten a procedural process down, and she runs it. She brings me a document that you print out at the end, so I know what money to move from Lone Star over. And so that's working pretty well. I'm now going to have to meet with our department since we've kind of figured out what works, and just kind of let everybody know, hey, we're going to be cutting on Wednesdays only. And so I'm to that point of being able to have those meetings and get that all lined out. The last thing I have is over spring break, I'm going to be headed to Houston for the TASBO. It's the School Business Officers Conference, and I will be there for 4 days during our spring break, learning about all kinds of things that I need to know.
And we will be the recipients of the Rise Award. He was nominated and he won the Rise Award for business office managers. We're not good managers, like business office folks.
Good. I got a question. GT,
Yes.
we have all this money that we're supposed to be spending, and it looks like we're just gonna recode some things so that we can say we're spending it.
Yes.
Are we spending this money for GT students? I mean, I know that they technically, okay, but what are we doing for the students that are in GT? Are we just recoding things so that we can say we're spending this money, or are they getting any benefit out of it?
They are taking a field trip this week, I believe, or next week. Today. So this is like GT coordinator and said, hey, we have a ton that we're supposed to spend because it's compiled with pictures. And she goes, I can't spend that much money. I don't know what else to spend it on. So we're doing a couple things here on campus. We're doing a field trip. And then I called somebody and I said, hey, what do you do so we don't have to give this money back? Otherwise, we're going to lose it. The folks that I know said what they do is they supplant that into the teacher's salary who's covering GT. So our kids are still getting benefit, but also we're not having to do that. There's so much that.
So this is just a this year kind of thing, so that we don't have to pay it back, and then we're gonna start
Right.
using the funds more efficiently.
But if we're moving it to pay a salary, then we're saving the money that would have been spent on the salary, correct? Okay.
We can use that money for another option,
But I had the same question, kind of.
Yeah.
When I don't know what our GT program is, when I was principal, we didn't have a GT program. Like, right as COVID was hit, we were working on trying to create some kind of GT program for our students to benefit from that. I know after I left the principalship, they do things now with GT, but I don't know what the program is.
Do we not have honors classes in high school anymore either? Sorry, probably not. No.
We have honors class, so most of our students take the towards the college.
Oh,
okay.
But we don't have the AP and pre-AP.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? More predominantly at the elementary. Once they get to the high school, like we talked about, we use some advanced practice. Most of our DT kids in high school are heading towards group other classes. So, in elementary, they do some pull-out things. They got some activities they do, some pull-out activities, and then they do this field trip. I think they do another one in May. I'll have to go check that. The school, what else?
Wish I could speak to the
Oh,
program.
that'd be amazing.
So at the elementary level, I actually spent some money last year for 2 years involved in STEM kits or STEM stations. Several $1,000s. They do engineering experiments where they build robots, make them work, things like that. They do various science experiments. They do engineering, actually constructing buildings and things like that. Our GT program works, they go out about once a week, depending on what is happening in the classroom. So, Alicia Marshall is the GT coordinator, instructor for the elementary and high. But she tries to work with teachers, depends on what they're doing. She can do something with enrichment with what they're already doing. If not, they work on each other things. We do multiple field trips. We usually do one in the fall, one in the winter, which was today, and we have one more planned.
Where did they go today?
We went to Main Street Theater
That's right.
to a theater production. Behind the original wardrobe.
I was jealous.
And they actually, it's not just going and watching a play, which is really good for our kids because they don't have those experiences either. But they also, the ones that we choose, this particular company has a question and answer session afterwards. So the kids get to ask questions. They get to ask about the sound design. They get to ask about the lighting. And, they have these little mini sessions that go along with it. They get to talk to the actors themselves. So it's not just about, oh, we get to go watch a play. There's a lot more to it than just going. That's what it looks like. Like I said, that's elementary and we include junior high as well. And once we get to high school, it's going to do credit and all that stuff.
And that money, it's about $10,000 a year is what we've been getting the last 3 years for GT. And I have to spend 100% of it.
Any other questions? Okay. Cool. Good questions. Good. Secondary principal, we've already done that one. Yes, ma'am. All right, here's the first quote from our athletic director. We talked about how a lot of our uniforms, like for instance, they're mismatched in our sports. Some of them are very dilapidated. So I forget who somebody asked for a complete list of every dollar that could be spent on athletic uniforms. This is one company. We'll get about 2, 3 more. It depends on it. In a normal setting, what you would do is you would choose about 3 sports a year and you just put them on a rotation and just know that every year you're going to be doing 3 sports. But I think our issue was our junior high stuff is stretched out and doesn't fit. And, we don't have a complete set of track uniforms. And, football is mismatching. We're gonna have an actual JV football. They are mismatching in football. Like that. JV or junior, we're gonna have a JV next year in football. And so, this was just a complete list. This is not a bill, but a complete list of everything. Just so you guys have the first one, I'll get you guys some more. This is Adidas, right?
Yes.
So Adidas is kind of expensive, but, this is kind of like a plan. So Adidas will do this, they'll give you this bill, and then they'll hit you with Adidas bucks, and they'll take that off your bill. So that's how they do it, and I know, so it won't be quite that bad.
I'm just confused because like, I think what you asked them for was something different from this. But maybe I was confused from the beginning and this is what you wanted, but.
No, this is kind of what I wanted because everything's been so mismanaged the last few years that.
Right, but like
I
this
think it
has
was-
softball, but we literally just bought softball.
Well, if we don't, yeah, I think you're right. If
And
it's,
then-
We would mark that.
I think the
Several
question
things
was
are really-
to get everything up to standard, what do we need?
And then inventory.
And
Yeah,
then we can get on
inventory.
rotation.
Every year, inventory every year. So you would be able to mark off softball, that's done.
And
Girls
basketball.
That's done.
Football just got uniforms like the last 2 years, didn't they?
Oh,
Why are they mismatched?
They bought some bull crap gray stuff.
Well, I don't know, it isn't
I think they
crazy.
wore it once.
They, so
They didn't wear, did they wear it?
Literally, I'm pretty
So it's bad luck, we need to burn it.
No, we don't for $12,000. For 2 more years.
that also covers the cost of the JV uniform, because we don't have enough. But we do have enough kids, which are enough uniforms. And that does that cover any helmets? Because I know we're gonna be short helmets.
But, and this is just gonna have to be high school though, it's not gonna be junior high, and I think you were wanting junior high, like every inventory, right? Like, to catch
Maybe that was junior high as
it
well.
all up.
I'll double check with Pete. I know that he said this is just the first one. There's a cheaper company called A4 or Badger. And A4 went to, they just got bought out. But, A4 and Badger does really cheap ones, but they aren't terrible. It's kind of like a Wilson or a Champion. And so there's an option to get some sub-varsity, newer, cheaper stuff that won't shred out on us in 3.
I think our goal would be to get everything to a point where we can start rotating it properly. Every 3 years, everything goes to junior high, get ready for that sport, but right now, we need a stopgap because
Agreed.
It should be close, last
we look
year,
like trash.
baseball got new uniforms, and
I haven't checked with Coach Cooper on baseball uniforms.
I'm sure there's some
they
things
got
that
2
we,
uniforms last
there
year.
should be some things that we don't need, but I know that, watching my kid play and he's constantly pulling in.
Yeah, junior high is where we're
Shorts.
lacking because
Yeah,
they
he's-
usually pass down high school, and they don't fit the junior high kids.
Yeah, so, getting a full list of everything is good, but then they can go through there and say, okay, we don't need baseball, we don't need softball.
What I don't wanna do is just say, oh, let's just get all new stuff, but don't even take inventory of what we
No, no, no,
have.
no.
Like, I think that's what this looks like to me.
We need to get the sports that we are severely lacking in, look like trash.
I think football, they're mismatched. I mean, even their home and away jerseys were mismatched.
Yeah.
They had to just order some that were the closest possible.
They didn't even have decals.
No, we did not.
But why, we can't work from the same company that has, like, the match?
We tried, we did try, and they said they couldn't match it. So he went with like that A4 company that I talked about, the Badger company, and got some dirt cheap ones, to make it through the year. And I'm gonna be honest, Keith's plan was just to take care of softball and girls basketball and track this year. That's it, and he was gonna try to make it another year with mismatched jerseys, and then go for football next year after he won the game.
I mean, I'm okay with
I'm okay with doing that.
well, I'm okay with going with the
That's a lot of
lowest
money.
denominator jerseys for 1 year
Yeah.
or 2 years.
We
Just so that off that beat, you get out there and you got kids with different colors on. And we're like, man, are we all homeless? I don't like it.
We have a lot of missing items and, that's unacceptable, the inventory. We will have not been inventory in the past. We have got an inventory, we will, at the end of every year, at the end of every season.
Yeah. But it's a good start.
It is a good start. So this is gonna be roughly the same price as Nike, not jumping, and we have to leave. We've got,
Reebok. I like Reebok.
Reebok's not bad, but we'll probably look at a Badger kind of company or an A4 next to give us a comparison.
Yeah.
And we'll throw junior high uniforms in. Again, this is all just discussion stuff, so I'll bring it back next month, see that. Because it won't take long to get that stuff in, a Badger and A4, they're normally pretty on time. And once we get it in, we just have to get it pressed. And then,
I think we can go with the color and stuff for, especially junior high, getting them third away. And then once we get our inventory for our high school really laid out, then replace the things that we don't have enough of with the good stuff. With the higher end stuff, because it's gonna eventually make it down to they don't get tore up.
I mean, sometimes though, even the nicer stuff, when you take it out of junior high, it's stuff.
Yeah.
But normally you can get a good reversible, for instance, in basketball, you get a good reversible A4 bag, and it's really not expensive, and it fits junior high kids. Yeah. But some of those junior high kids don't look like junior high kids. Those junior high kids get good.
Hey, even if we go into something like that for junior high, and we have to order a couple of extras every year, because they get tore up because they're cheap.
So we normally order about 30 to 35, somewhere in there. And we have weird sizes down to tiny sizes. And we roll with that for 3 years, and then we order new. So that, but we always use, normally, from my experience, we always use the Badger or the A4 for junior high, just because those kids they'll wash it and they'll dry it and they'll come out and it'll be this big, instead of washing it and hanging it up to dry. Or they're not supposed to take it home, but sometimes they do. We'll get some more numbers for you guys. So
I really don't care what brands they are, because when they're out there, you typically can't tell what brand they are anyway.
but they're good, right?
Yeah. Oh, we can get some stinking Hanes. Fingers and put some numbers
I
on.
like it. Get some angry white figures.
But it didn't look as good as what we got going on out there.
Yeah, you're right.
Darko calling. I think you're going on out there in white fingers.
Thank you, guys.
One of the nuts.
That was it for that one. That covered I'm sorry, see one more. Discuss the purchase of the bus. So I know you guys already approved it, but like I said, I don't want to buy something without talking to y'all more. We're gonna get the new sped bus from Coots, Special Ed Co-op, which will release one of those other, smaller yellow buses that we can use as a trip bus. We can also use it as a backup route bus. And so this is possibility, since we're gonna get that new bus, and that'll throw this one over into, a backup for us in case one goes down. This puts us at the option of, do we want another yellow one, or do we want a white one? Again, just so you remember, the white one, they look really pretty. We can put a Mighty Max decal on it. We can do, they're a little bit cheaper than the yellows. And they can go about 10 miles per hour faster on the highway than the yellows. But like we talked about, the yellows we can use on routes in case we have 2 or 3 buses here. So, any thoughts on that?
My only question is that, what is the price difference between this exact bus, but painted yellow with,
20,000.
20,000?
Yes, sir. The yellows with the lights and the arms and everything else, all the good stuff is 20,000. 20,000 more than this. Yes, sir.
That'd be a high,
Yes, sir.
Okay, my other question is, now that we have a total bus Do we have the money to do it now?
So we have two groups that are working on an electric bus plan still. And we still have one bus, is that right, Mike?
Backup, yeah.
Yes, we still have one backup bus.
The one wrecked was the backup, but it was our oldest working bus. And it was being used because the other one was being maintenance or something when it got in the wreck.
So we do have one bus still as a backup. And then the electric buses that we could get in, hopefully. What that requires us to do is take our two worst buses and put a hole in the engine block and cut the frame and crush them. And then we can get those buses essentially for free.
Can they take a total of it?
It
Yes.
moves, it drives,
Yes.
it can be moved.
Qualifies. Yes. But just in case they say no, we have three of the worst ones, but we're only asking for two. So if they deny that one, we still have another one that sucks just as bad. We can still trade that one in. I think the best part of it is they'll go for 100 miles. They have better pickup, they have better get up and go on the highway than a gas. The trickle charge is hardly any addition to our electric bill. And then, it's made wear and tear, 5 years, wear and tear, it's regular, you have a warranty for 5 years if anything breaks, which will give us 5 years of breathing room to save up and buy two more buses. Because on year 7, if these break, I'm sure they're gonna be expensive to fix.
It's a great experiment regardless.
Yeah, and it's free,
Yeah,
which is,
any free experiments.
yeah.
What's the likelihood of this out there, in your opinion?
We have. Go ahead, Lauren.
Well, they say that, I mean, the gal that we're working with, she said she thinks we're good. They seem to do more rural schools before they do other schools. There are some schools on the waiting list, but you may get them on the waiting list. I mean, there's no guarantee. I just got an email that I sent to the supervisor because we have had a SAM.gov and we've had 5 days to get it.
Okay.
It can expire within 90 days.
Okay.
And so we have to do that, we'll get that taken care of and we'll send it, because they won't let us be eligible without that. But they've been very promising. I mean, we sat in on a meeting yesterday and met with the two people who are, they've done their part of the grant. What we're waiting at this point is for the grant to open. And so, because it's first come, first served, so we have our stuff. So when it opens, boom, we send it. And so we know which buses we want to replace, we know what we have to do. And I think we stand a good chance. Now, it's not a quick thing. I mean, it takes like 12.
Although the Thomas people that I spoke to in the castle last week, they said they had a quicker turnaround on that.
Well, and that may happen, because they changed some of the rules from, like, the first people that got first round, they changed, like, because we send it in, they open it up, and by April, they start making people be got it. They start making school. I was on the website yesterday, and I saw where Hillsborough ISD had been notified that they were on the EV buses. Well, I freaked out because I thought, so I looked to see who their transportation director was, and I called him and I said, tell me, did we not do this? That why we haven't been notified? You know, had to notify all of the first. And he said, no, this was from 2022. Okay, but they were just now getting. And I said, I didn't know it took so long. And so he said, well, they're quicker than they were.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. So it's kind of hurry up and wait.
We also spoke to Martinsville, who's replacing the whole fleet, which that sounds like a lot, but it was full.
Yes.
They're kind of. But I love what he said. We got our payments from the government so early that we put it in our Lodestar account. And we built interest on it until the buses were done, and then we paid it. So we got a ton of money that they built interest on for free. So we've got some things we can do to, as long as we can. We met with Elizabeth and we met with John, our mechanic. And Michael has another one he's working on, and we put down everything that grant needs. And they have literally every drop of what they need. They're just waiting for it to open and they submit.
How long will it take for us to get this white bus?
8 months. No, 9 months. You remember when it was, I'm pretty sure it's now. You know, 8 months. And I know, and that's why we talked about it for the last board meeting, but then I said, golly, guys, I need to visit with you again. I know the yellow one's more expensive. We could use it for routes. We do have Suburbans and some SUVs we could use. Obviously, if everything really hit the fan, or we could double up on a route and put more kids on the bus if the worst of the worst happens, because we're not even close to filling our buses. But a white bus would go a little faster. I mean, there's pros and cons to each one, and I just want to hear it.
Sped bus.
What's that?
What do we do to get the sped bus?
Do you remember what they said in that meeting?
No, it'd be August it'll be August when we meet again.
Yes.
It's always the August meeting with the co-op, and they'll tell us then, and then we'll get it from. I feel like Hardin got theirs though within a couple of months after that meeting. Yeah, it was pretty quick.
We do this now, white, and then get the sped bus probably close to the same time period.
Yeah.
But you can't use it for the route, right? Instead of.
The white one you cannot.
No,
Sped bus,
the
sped
sped,
bus
I thought
you
you
can.
could only use it for sped use.
So the sped one you can, but it's gonna replace a bus we're using for sped route, but that bus was not purchased with sped funds, so we can use that for regular routes.
Okay.
It's a great question, I didn't make that clear, so.
I like the idea of having one with our detail and it being nice. And it's gonna, for me, it was like to replace 2 Suburbans, so we don't have 2 drivers getting whatever on the road. And
100,000 was to support, to replace 2 Suburbans with Suburbans, was gonna be more than that one bus. It's much more flexible.
I like it, and we don't have to have a CDL drive right away. So that's what
And you
we,
go faster. It's old.
Hey, watch out.
Well, I do it.
Watch out,
I've seen one made it.
Oh, okay.
Last meeting, I just wanted to visit with you again.
Someone's throwing some recount, though.
Yeah, no doubt. They said they would.
Thank you.
Feel better.
I'm sorry, y'all, for making me dramatic.
Well, what else can you expect?
All right, next is, we have a cyber election here. Just give us a presentation. Yeah, we're just gonna visit with them. So I've used Schneider Electric in the last 2 districts I was in. Matter of fact, they were my second call when I got here. I spoke to, the rep that had us out in West Texas, Charlie, and Charlie got me in touch with Grace. And, what they do is they basically help districts save money on their utilities. And using that savings, they fund other projects with that savings. So I don't wanna, I'm not gonna say nearly as well as these 3 folks are. I'll let Grace introduce her team and then, so they'll go visit with you guys about an option for us to start considering and thinking about. So again, it's just an introduction. I would personally vouch for them. And some of my great friends who are superintendents would do the same. They would personally put their name out and vouch for them, and I 100% would do the same.
Thank you, Dr. Hanson. I'll go ahead and pass these out to you all. It's just a booklet of information I've been able to gather with the administration as we've met for the past 6 months. So high level overview of what we've been able to gather with the facility. Thanks. I have with me here today Shane White and then Randy Newman as well. To assist. Please go through the notebooks if you want to take notes directly in the pamphlet or in the notebook or got it all on paper there. I just want to make sure you all have the resources. So this is a presentation. We want to be conversational. If you have any questions, this is as informational as we can be. We can please visit more if you have further questions later on the road too, but this is just a start of really what we want to see the past. And so as we flip to the second page, why we're here. So initially our conversation started out with Dr. Hudson on the financial stewardship. So where can we help the district save money? We're able to look at an energy study. We've met with Don as well as Michael back there and Elizabeth, and we were able to do a site walk of your facilities and gather utility bills.
really do a deep analysis on what we could potentially save for the district. We'll dive deeper into what the numbers look like as we move forward, but want to share that that's what the conversation is. On our sidewalks, we're able to see equipment replacement needs and other facility upgrades that are opportunities where we can see those potential savings arise, as well as strategic renovation pieces too that you'll try to do on your own, but sometimes it's hard. And mentioned earlier, having a hard stop and being able to recollect the district and see where we can kind of start all over again and make sure we relieve some of that maintenance and operations spend across the district. On the next page, this is what our model looks like. So with our energy savings opportunity, we look to see where we can find cost efficiencies here on the left-hand side, our revenue creation measures, and we've coupled those with your capital maintenance needs that aren't necessarily savings drivers, but are things that you need to accomplish that are kind of hard to do on your just the general fund balance on an annual basis. And with that model, we're able to create a comprehensive solution that can help with those cost efficiencies, modernize the facilities, and then fund priority projects that you're district. Also, please feel free to stop me at any point if you have any questions. I tend to run through this quickly, but I want you all to be able to get those questions answered. On the next page, we have our design build partnership. So on the left-hand side is what the district is typically used to across the state of Texas with the design bid build model. So here at the center is the district, the administration, the board, all having to handle putting proposals, RFQs, looking at lighting contractors, engineers, architects, etc. And then here on the right-hand side, you can see our approach. So y'all are at the top, and we're y'all in a partnership as that one-stop shop. So being able to handle planning for a project, design, development, moving into installation, handling those responsibilities of those relationships that I mentioned previously, contractors, architects, general contractors, so on, and then that guaranteed performance piece. So when we put in our contract that percentage of savings that we guarantee, we honor that on an annual basis, and we write a check for the difference. So when you're utilizing and reinvesting those savings into your budget, you're able to make more promises, even if it doesn't hit those numbers, we make sure you have that in your questions. On this page, I just wanted to include our exposure in the market in Texas, over 270 projects here and 30 years in the state. As you can see here, we have some of Dr. Hessman's previous school districts up at the top with Albany and IC and Clyde, where he served and we did some projects out there. And then Miranda is going to speak on some of our projects that we've done in East Texas as well.
Yeah, so some of them that are Shane and I have actually worked on together, and the one I want to talk to you guys about is Longview ISD. We're on phase 5 with them, and a lot of things that we've done and implemented with them are things that you guys are looking at, things that you need, things that are important to you, and so that's why we wanted to highlight it. We've expanded their ag facility. We have focused on a lot of energy efficiencies. We have focused on replacing their end-of-life equipment, making sure they're saving money and reinvesting it into their facilities. And the current thing that we're working on is actually EV infrastructure. They were also recently awarded a grant to get 10 EV buses, and their first call was, "Hey, Schneider, we need you to figure out how we're going to do the infrastructure." And so we're a partner to them in all things efficiency, but also construction. And so there's some other districts that are similar in size to y'all, Lemon Kildare, White Oak. You guys have nearly the same logo as White Oak, but very similar from a construction perspective. They asked us to design and construct a metal weight room and put it up, redo their tennis courts. And so I know electric's in the name and it can get confusing, but it's energy efficiency and there's also some design build aspects to it.
And then moving to the next page, to page 7, Shane's going to walk us through what your facilities, what you're able to gather in facilities as we go walk through. We'll continue as we move in the process to do deeper dives on specifically things that I want us to look at as we narrow down scope, but just high level what we were able to gather.
Thank you, Grace. As I go through this, understand that this is not, hey, this is what your project is. These are just opportunities we identified in a one-day survey. And so there will be a whole lot of negotiation on what your priorities really reflect. But these are the opportunities we saw. So the first sheet really just shows opportunities we saw on kind of a global basis. So this would be things that would impact multiple facilities, not just a single building. The first picture is really hard to see, but that's a Google Earth view of your campus, because you're the first customer I've ever had that had 70, 80 acres of timber. And that that looked like a decent opportunity to, potentially look at harvesting that timber and selling off some value there, just to create some money to spend. If rolling road, so I don't know what you plan on doing with that, but it was something that, if it was my resource, I would want to consider that. And certainly all of the community would understand the value of timber, since that's a huge industry. Second picture on the right is a picture of the lights. You've already done an LED lighting retrofit to your facility, but the lamps that we use are higher wattage fixtures. They're 18-watt lamps. What we typically use are 10.5-watt lamps. So it's just a migrating technology where it's getting more and more efficient, and the systems last a long time. Your systems are starting to see some failures, which was a little surprising to me. It's a kind of a Gen 1 tier product that starting to fail. So it's not a huge need right now, but it's something to consider. Next, you don't really have any sort of system-wide building automation system. So if a student or a teacher goes and hangs the thermostat over 58 degrees to try to cool it down faster, there's no way to alert Elizabeth staff that, hey, somebody's, set the system at something that would really upset my grandfather. The next picture on the bottom left, some failing rain gutters. This wet environment, get a lot of condensation, and loose gutters are always in use. Those are starting to rain through, so that's a facility opportunity that exists many places. You've got some older AC systems, not widespread, but you've got some opportunities here and there that can use to be upgraded. And then a picture of a solar panel. If you take out quite a bit of timber, you can look at installing solar there. Solar typically hasn't paid on in Texas because our power is really pretty cheap. But there's a federal incentive program, the IRA, ITC terms, that will help offset and probably pay for as much as 40% of that investment. Again, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't bring in the opportunity. Any questions on that before I move on?
On the controlling the air conditioning, I'm not opposed to that, but like if you go into Lowe's or something, it's burning up in there and they can't control their own air and that drives me nuts. Would it be something like that, or?
Y'all would essentially have control, so your operators could set, y'all actually, as essentially the runners of the system, you would say, hey, we're gonna have an energy policy in the summer, in the cooling season, which is most of y'all's year. We're gonna not let it be set lower than 70 degrees, or 72 or 68, whatever y'all want to set, you can make that policy. And typically we'll have some slide stat overrides, so you can have a couple degree variance from that. Okay.
It's not like Big Brother somewhere way off and they have no idea how hot it is in the
In this
classroom.
case, you are Big Brother, so that's essentially up to you.
I can tell you that, I'm sorry, really quickly. I can tell you this summer, somebody came into the elementary gym, cranked down to 50 and wore that AC out. We had to replace the whole thing. We've had a couple of teachers come in, and they come in and work in their room in the summer. They crank it down to 65 and they forget about it and they leave it. And you walk into that room, it's like a meat locker. and it runs constantly. And the automation will it'll save us dollars. It's 112 outside. Cooling at 60 degrees is what
Automation, we're talking about sound, visible, light, what have you, to shut the system down with it. Unoccupied in the classroom.
You can make that happen if you'd like. Most of what we control is just HVAC systems. Now that lighting systems are so efficient with LED technology, it's really not as cost effective to try to control it remotely, because honestly, if you're controlling it remotely, people will say, well, I don't need to turn it off. At 3:30 when I leave, they're gonna turn it off anyhow. It's true, but you end up dealing with an extra hour and a half to run.
Well, actually, I wasn't talking about the lighting. I was talking about the mid-range hotels are starting to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And they will literally have an occupancy detector within the room.
Right.
So when you go out to dinner, it'll turn your air conditioner off. It'll burn smooth up when you get back to that room. I promise you.
No, I've been in the same hotel. I know exactly what you're talking about. You certainly set a schedule to say, we're gonna normally run things from say 6 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And if somebody needs to be in there after hours, they can hit a push button to bring it on to allow it to run an extra 2 hours. And after those 2 hours, it does shut off. All you gotta do is hit a button to bring it back on.
And like when we have a game, I would go to the game, or I'd go to our calendar and say, okay, on Monday or Tuesday, I have to set the AC in the gym to cool to 68 during the game, and then shut it off when it's not game time.
It's that exact sort of functionality is what we're talking about, the ability to really control it on purpose rather than by accident. Good question. Anything else for our keep trucking? Your next facility is your junior high school, and the only real thing I wanted to point out here is that your facility was originally built in 63 without air conditioning, originally, and then 20 years or so ago, the building was expanded and air conditioned. And so you've got a building with a whole lot of glass, where you're intended to bring in a lot of air back in the 70s before you had AC, and now you're conditioning. When they expanded it, they especially put in a pitched roof that's over the existing flat roof, and then put in these huge soffits, and there's exhaust fans up in the attic that vent air out of that, which sounds great. The downside is, so it's nice and chilly in here, and so it's 70 degrees. So if I had a glass of iced tea with me and I walked outside, condensation would immediately start to form like that because it's hot and moist outside. Well, your attic is hot and moist because it is outside. All that air is being drawn in from the outside through those soffits and then exhausted out. So it keeps your attic cooler, but it does provide a whole lot of outside air. If we were in El Paso, this is a real big deal. No, not in El Paso. So these T-bar grids are cold. They're made out of metal, and so they're the same temperature we are in here. And so it's a thermal bridge between this space and the attic. And so you get condensation that starts to form there on the T-bar, and in particular around supply air grills. Supply air grills are typically going to be 55, maybe 60 degree discharge. So condensation is naturally going to form there, and you get this discoloration around your grill. All that to say, there's some architectural modifications we can look at making to reduce how much outside air you're drawing through that attic to minimize that. Again, not something you got to do, but it's something to consider. Did I whip that horse too much? Not yet. Okay. All right. Keep talking. The next picture is a second and third grade building. This is the thermostat is an up close view of the thermostat that's in the hallway between two classrooms that are equally dissatisfied with thermal conditions in that space. So there's two spaces without a thermostat and the classes are being taught in a hallway with a thermostat in it. So it's really not sensing what's going on. A good automation system would have a sensor in each space, maybe control off the average. That way, everybody at least gets their vote count, so to speak, in terms of thermostatic control. And then this is a kind of a leaky space. You can see where air is drawn in under that door, into the HVAC space, and you've got some funkiness on the mixed air ability that probably would rather not be there. Next page is Old Elementary Building. This is another facility that's built without AC. That the blue wall there down below, that thing is crazy hot. When the sun is baking on the side of that, I was astonished how hot it was in January. I can't imagine how hot it is in September. So that's a good opportunity to insulate that wall panel and maybe even reduce how much glass you have, because you needed all that glass before to ventilate the space. Now that you're air conditioning, it doesn't help you. So you would rather have less exposed glass. That's a pretty significant investment. So just bear that in mind. The next picture is basically where you've got some dirt washing out from a gutter that needs to be backfilled. And then the last picture is the LED lamps that are starting to burn out. It's just indicating this lamps are. The last picture or slide I have for you is your ag building, and hat tip to those kids that did so well on a state level. I'm an ag kid myself, and so am I. And you have, my dad would say, 10 pounds of potato in a 5-pound sack in your ag building program. It's just really packed. I mean, there's some great education going on there, but it is really, really high. And so I would think the best thing to do would be to add another facility or look at repurposing maybe the maintenance shop into an additional ag space to give those students more opportunity to thrive by creating an additional, a different machine shop, a drill shop, and maybe the carpentry program or whatever, just to give them more capacity. Right now, it's a surprisingly short building, for an ag shop, I'm used to them having like 12, maybe 14-foot sidewalls. And, I would think that you would, and so I've identified a couple options for y'all to consider as to where you could put that. But, you'll probably have better ideas. You're here all the time. I was here one day. So we're open to recommendations, but I think that's a really significant need for this.
That's how I like to do this.
I didn't mean to giggle at you when you talk about my kids, actually.
We've tried, but, we just leave it there.
It's funny, I think if you just gave them, an extra material and said, hey, go build right over yonder, they probably get like a third place ribbon or something. They can take it to state.
Actually, you mentioned that we passed them did when they came through, one of them, that's the need to get started.
Yeah, okay. But we'll talk about that. The next slide is on capital asset planning. This is basically just a database that helps you track systems that are important to you. You can really try to garner everything in it. Most of our customers, if they take this from us, it's to use, to track their HVAC system age, so you can forecast, hey, I've got 30 units that are 25 years old, and they're gonna need to be replaced pretty soon. So you can forecast, just like the gym, football outfits, knowing when those are kind of due for replacements, the same sort of thing, just you it comes up. HVAC systems will probably be replaced. The next slide is, just a forecast of what we think we can achieve savings wise. So you've got about 170,000 total square feet. You spent about $171,000 conditioning and providing electricity, gas, and water for the facilities. You can see where that money's going for electric, gas, and water, and then the forecasted savings. If we were to do a project here, I'm guessing we could probably save you around $29,000 a year. That's a forecast. I've been doing this for 25 years, so I usually get it between the goalposts. I would forecast it somewhere between 20 and maybe $29,000 a year. Over the course of 20 years, amortized, bringing that all to today's dollars, is probably worth in the range of $600,000 to $800,000 worth of present day money. If you were to, that's sort of kind of how much you can look at spending. I know I just talked through a whole bunch. Y'all have any questions on that?
So basically, they say, 20 to 25,000 a year is what they can save us. And so what some school districts do, and again, this is just an introduction, so you guys can start scratching your head about it. Some school districts say, okay, 20,000 a year, we can make a payment on a loan, and they would go out and they would fund a project based off of the amount that they would save a year. And Schneider Electric goes a step past that, and they say, if we promise we'll save you X amount of dollars, if we come in short, we'll write you a check for 20 years.
Great Creek ISD year 2. It's my step, one of my projects, but short portion. I'm not happy about it, but it happens.
So it's an option. I know we talked about the bad word, the bond, but this is a way to do something about it. I want you to sleep on it, think about it, definitely. And we're gonna come back next month and, right? Okay, we'll come back next month and visit more, because, I wouldn't want to go home and sleep on it and write down questions.
We did obviously did the lighting and I think an AC project. It's been 8 years ago. I'm curious how much that saved the district. We spent a lot of money on those upgrades, and
We still have that loan. We owe 84,000 on it. It's on my wall.
yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that I don't know that we saved that much. I mean, we probably saved some, but I don't know that we. Yeah, I don't think that it's paid us.
The beauty of this company is if they say we're gonna save you this much, and they don't, they write us a check.
Right, I love that.
That's just so cool.
So what, will that be like a really hard number, or will it be that range between, like,
Oh, no,
When we
so
get to
this is what I came up with after a day's worth of survey. the investment grade audit, which is kind of the next step of the process, I'd have a larger team of engineers come out, spend multiple days doing our field gathering, and then put the real proposal. And for that matter, negotiate what the final scope of work is, but eventually it comes out to a hard dollar. We're guaranteeing we're gonna save you $23,272, and once a year, we'd have a reconciliation to say, we got it, in fact, we did 30,000, or we didn't got it, here's your check for the balance, sorry.
Okay, and then how much does it cost us for y'all services?
And depending on the scope of work, if you want me to go design a whole new ag barn, that's a more involved, estimate. But, we would anticipate charging around $50,000 for an investment grade on it to do the initial design.
That's just for the
And just for clarity, that's an exit fee, so if you let me go through the IGA process, the development, and then at the end of it, you say, Valley, I just really don't want to do this. You've met all your contractual obligations, and I just don't want to do the project. That's when you actually have to pay that. If you do the project, that cost just gets rolled into the cost of the project. Great question.
I want to provide this as well. This is a summary of the scope items reviewed independently, just so it's all right in front of you. We want it to be a discussion on the board. Like, we don't want to move forward with this one at all. It doesn't seem like we're interested in. Obviously, this is the first informational meeting that had. We wanted to open up the floor for conversation of things as we start moving towards IGA, what would be featured in the development and design process. It's not a hard no right now, but if there are any, it would help out now.
In your experience, to gain this $29,000 savings, what's the expense, what's the capital expenditure that we're looking at?
I would forecast that's probably on the order of $1 million. I mean, that's on the spot, yes.
And so that's gonna really push our ROI way out the gate.
I'm sorry, well, okay, the project would pay for about $600,000 to $800,000. Okay, I apologize, it would be on that sort of scale. It'd be less than that, but very powerful.
And one thing also is, our projects are customized, and so if there are things that you guys want in our capital expense, it's something that you guys know you're coming out of pocket for. If there are things that you want, what we could call a budget neutral project, and you want something that's gonna pay for itself, exactly like you mentioned earlier, of however much you're spending and how much you're gonna pay back to a loan each year, that's also very doable. We do both all the time. Obviously, an ag building is not gonna pay for itself, but if you can implement some energy efficiency and have money to put towards another project, that's where this project from a comprehensive perspective comes in.
A lot of discussion that needs to go on because we have a lot of facility issues that we need to get taken care of. And hopefully we get new facilities to replace them. So we don't want to dump a whole lot of money into, retrofitting and stuff. And yeah, we'll get benefit from it, but our goal in the end is to get a bulldozer after. So,
Well, I'll just do the math, looking at a 28-year ROI. So to get our money back on our capital expenditure, it's gonna take us 48 years to change the system. And I'm assuming along that time path that we're probably gonna have more updates on LEDs and technology within the system and all of that we're gonna want. So it's gonna keep pushing that ROI out. Not saying it's not a needed thing, just say with the stage of our buildings, like Michael was talking about, and with the phase of life that the school is in now, we've got to heavily consider the ROI.
Yeah. I think it's great to add in as many efficiencies as we can where it makes sense. So that's where a lot of discussions between superintendent and you guys are gonna come in, make sure we're not putting money in places that the bulldozer's gonna hit 5 years, 10 years down the road.
And we work together in a partnership to help figure out what makes the most sense for y'all, what makes sense for us to help y'all with. And we started that 6 months ago, early on in the process, but working with y'all, the board and administration still to see what that looks like in the future. And it can be as much work as all that, as little work as all that. It's working together throughout, it makes the most sense.
There's one thing that makes, when you talk about, cutting down those trees and putting up solar panels. I've heard a lot of negatives about solar panels, but that seems like something that could benefit, if it's just cutting down the trees on a long-term basis, and then putting solar panels up too. It's, I mean, it's going to battery.
It's not going to.
Yeah.
Just for clarity, I use it.
Right, but I mean, if we did bulldoze a building, we're not losing anything. That's the kind of stuff.
As Shane said, last week, some schools choose to put it on the roof.
Yeah.
And if we did build it, I mean, that,
Yeah, you've got 78 acres of cleared land, you have enough, for utility grade here.
Yeah, I'm doing a 27 acre, PV array for a major university in South Africa. It's a third of the size of what's on it. And that's generating, it's a 3 megawatt system, which is about the power significant portion of the university.
let's see. And right now, we spend a year on electricity, $158,000 a year.
There's some ROI, what's your installation cost per megawatt? Solar?
It's gonna be about $3 a meg. So, yeah, we're looking at, about, $10 million worth of work to put in 3 meg. And that's putting in, we talk shopping. Yeah, we're having to run about half a mile of, high speed voltage to get out there to it, which is pretty awesome project. We're not fully baking that cake yet, I've got about 2 more weeks to do it. But we're,
I'm just thinking you don't have as much stretch here, and we're not looking at just a school, we're also looking at several homes.
Right.
So if you could eliminate an electric bill, that's a long-term ad, and that's gonna get you to your ROI at the lot faster.
Especially also the government paying for up to 40%. We're working, I mentioned Longview earlier, and we have deducted that the government will reimburse them exactly 40% of their entire project. And so then you're getting free money to save money. And so it ends up helping your ROI also.
That was a project that I would really like to see some numbers on.
I knew the sound that you guys wanted, but I just couldn't explain it. I think I just, the words couldn't explain it. So I wanted them to come and just start this conversation because like they all said, this doesn't fit something we want, it's okay. But if it's something you guys are interested in, because the bonds have been this difficult to pass, and we can show our community we can do what we can do with what we've been given, then maybe the next bond will be easier to pass. That's the whole point.
But it's easier to sell when you're building infrastructure for future income for business. So when you're building something that's going to pay off X amount every year, you can show that here's our ROI and here's where our profit begins. And this is gonna take off of what we need from business. That you can sell. At least easier than what we were.
And the future for you, how much you
honestly, if you talk to, if you talk with the job,
I don't know.
My only thought is the people that are gonna be like, oh my, they clear cut everything, it's never gonna be the same again. That
Well,
is my
yeah,
thought,
the
like,
business at
that's
that
gonna be an
point,
issue. for us.
you also have the opportunity to move things around. Yeah, we need
Is it
to.
all a swamp back there? We know it's not land.
They don't have to be clear cut, you can select cut.
No, it's not.
Get it out first, and let that, make that
The
go there.
advantage is
Some bridges on this stuff too.
you're not gonna get. It's not like it's huge pine trees, it's not oak trees, it's oak water oaks and tallow trees. On the picture, it looks
So
like
it's already been with us.
no, it's just there's nothing there.
All
Yes, it's on the creek.
Yeah.
Creek. Sweet gum trees.
We could actually use that to thing, to build with. I read about it. Desperate time.
Yeah, split it.
Yeah, right, no.
Pick it up and
I don't know. Okay, any other questions for this?
And y'all can fire questions at me and I'll fire
Right.
back at them and send us to be. And they're gonna come back next month when you guys have some time to sleep on and think about it. And come ready with questions.
Good conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the notepad. It was too pretty to write.
No, it's so nice.
I'll be careful.
Maybe wish I had a job.
You should, sir.
Good seeing you.
Nobody else.
ICO.
The safety audit.
So the safety audit, I know I texted you guys 100% compliance. We had one tiny finding and it's already fixed. We thought that once the gate was up, oh, Terry, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, this was yours and Dan's celebration. Nope, no. It's awesome.
You're on the spot now, so.
I know, now we put you on the spot. We actually did really well, with the gates. We were a little concerned about ag, the rollaway door, that they were secure and that we didn't have any findings as far as our exterior doors went for the secondary campus. What else was there on our? I mean,
I think the biggest thing was that, the gates, as expensive as they were, they deterred him. He could not get in. He came to the front, he checked in like he's supposed to, and then he did an exterior door audit. Even though we have gates, he still checked every door was locked, every door was secure. So it worked. I mean, that's what we wanted. That's why the gate was built, that's why the fence was built.
question.
Yep.
So the doors were secured the day he came at the ag building. So if he comes back the next time and they're open, are we gonna fail? So it depends on, how, so they were not, if the gate, if there's no one at the ag shop doors dedicated to those doors and the rollway door is open, it can be deemed as an open or accessible door. So my main concern is how that affects the money that we're going to be spending.
That's a little, I hate the way that they do things, but from what they come out and told us last year, and the reason why we spent some money on some things has already changed in that year period. Like, some of the doors that we got dinged on, actually twice last year, the gym doors, and we not spent that money and just let them lock because it wasn't that they were open, it was that they were improperly secured. Well, now to the rulemaking and everything, as long as those doors don't have an exit time, if they did, we could take the exit time off. If they were secured, they wouldn't have dinged them this year. One of the driving forces for the fencing in the gates last year was, they explained if we had them, when he showed up, if there were no holes in the fence and all the gates were shut, that was going to be the end of the holiday. If something was open, then he'd still come in and check all the exterior doors. But when he showed up this year, they had already changed it to where, well, no, we're still going to come in and check all your doors. If you have a door that's open and you do have the perimeter fencing like we do, since that door's open, they're going to go and check the perimeter fencing, which in our case, with the exception of our main entry doors, every single door that we have is in a secured area. As long as your gates and fence and everything are good, then you're not going to get a ding for any door that was open. But it kind of burnt me up that we spent a lot of money on some doors and they ended up changing it and we never had to spend.
But to answer the question, as long as our gates are secure and our fencing is secure, we are in compliance.
These are two grants that we're gonna get. We can utilize to pay ourselves back for the fencing. And we can pay ourselves back for those costs. Which is great. And then anything else left over, we were talking about go buckets and maybe some communications. For all the teachers to have lots in the classroom.
Okay. Yes, so that would
I thought we
be,
already did that. Did we not do that?
no, the principal will want buckets so that if we are having to secure for an extended period of time, they can be used as impromptu restrooms for, especially for the younger kids.
So is this something we can just buy a 5-gallon bucket and?
Absolutely.
Instead of the backpack, we would buy a bucket, would then have a lid on it, and everything would be secured in that,
Did we ever find the backpack that was already bought?
not to my knowledge.
I was handed, the backpacks and I wanna say Teresa is the one that found most of them. There was only like six.
Yeah, there was.
They're all the ones backpacks from like 15 years ago.
I thought more
And the
of the
materials that
newer
were in
ones
there
in there.
were all expired. I mean, everything.
No, those newer ones. Wasn't there like?
And it's up in them too.
Yeah,
There, we haven't had one in, this is my third year here.
maybe they never got purchased, but.
I I've got some totes of some stuff that Steve had got that it looks like somebody was making an attempt to make some kits. But there are no kits or backpacks or anything that we done.
Huh.
Earlier this year, we talked about it.
Okay,
and-
maybe we didn't buy them.
Well, we talked about it and we were getting a budget for them.
Okay.
You approved the money for it,
Okay, that's
and
what
we
I
moved it
think.
over, and it's there, we just got to spend it.
But don't buy the backpacks if we're doing buckets,
But
right?
that's what we, instead of the backpack, we were gonna do the.
Okay, I was about to like, whoo, because it's a lot of money, just the backpacks we're not gonna use.
Well, we're, Chief Atkinson has been researching, some wholesale options where we could get the materials, especially the, like the blood. Possibly tips, sorry, for a little cheaper. Cause we need more than what we have on campus anyway. And so if we had one for each classroom, and we've also been, we'll be able to save some money, and then each classroom will have one, and we can supplement the soft play stations we already have.
That's okay. So there's two grants out there. One we've already got, we just haven't received it. And the other one should open any day. And we'll apply for that and we should receive it. And then we'll try to use all those funds to pay off the things. But I hate interest. I hate it. Unless it's gonna go and fund a cool project. I hate it. Anyway, any questions?
Is there any idea when the legislature is actually gonna pay us for said fence that was in such a hurry and that we were sure we were gonna get the money for and that really kind of
I
sticks
think
me
that's
out.
what this is. I think this safety grant 1 and safety grant 2. I guess that's what it is. Was there supposed to be something
Is it the
else?
same thing as what
We
we
were
thought?
told when we bought this fence that they were sure they were gonna pass the funding to the legislature. They just had that, shooting down south. Everybody was all up in there and emotional.
Did we get partial payment for this?
No.
Like,
Oh, we got the first grant, the $200,000 that I've already paid.
Yeah.
And then we got a $3,500 grant for the silent
yes.
thing. I paid like that.
So, but the fence was so expensive, we still owe $285,000, I believe, ish, ballpark, $285,000 for the fence.
Yeah, we were sure that the state.
We got the
you guys
200,
remember?
we got the 200.
Yeah.
That came in.
And I already paid it, yeah.
So this one is 265, is that right?
I don't know the amount of it.
I'm pretty sure.
I haven't got the no-gig yet, so I don't know.
Well, they sent us an email with, you've been awarded this, but we just are waiting for the notice of grant. Client, like they just haven't given us the actual money. So
Well, I know
what's
that the legislature shut down and did not fund some of this. And I was reading about it, I was rather unimpressed because I'm project mandates for my school district, it's not impressive. But I didn't know if they had came back and picked it up in the new legislature and moved forward with it, or if they were still dragging their feet and needed.
No, we're being punished because we didn't support vouchers. I mean, mean, that's the truth. We're being punished because we didn't support vouchers, so the governor's holding on to the money. That's a fact.
That's what he's stick a stick in his boat for that.
I don't disagree with you.
So pardon me for being so plain.
No,
He seems to have no problem.
I agree with you, but that's basically what's happened.
So coming back full circle to what we were talking about here, that's why we're encouraging people to exercise their vote for primaries.
Yes.
People in that support public health. Especially on supporting my life.
Stop playing up this.
All right, we good on that? School board issues. I'm sure most of you who've been in the junior high gym for Little Dribblers noticed that our school board quit in there. I'm getting quotes right now to get those fixed. Also, baseball is shorting in and out. We have Bradley Electric coming out to look at that. Spectrum already came out to look at the ones in the junior high gym, and they killed all the electricity to our campus and killed our internet. And they said, yeah, it's broke. So, I spoke with a couple of school board companies, and I mean, honestly, we don't use that gym for volleyball, so we're not in like this time crunch to replace it, but it needs to be replaced by basketball season next year because we hold Little Dribblers in there, and we also have a tournament in there, and who knows whatever else we use that gym for. So what we talked about doing is replacing the high school main gym scoreboards and taking those off and putting those in the junior high. But I'll have more information for y'all. I'll have multiple bids and more information for y'all. Get some options for y'all to look at. I just don't. Yeah, there's some that are like fully automated that a lot of districts are going to, so that when they get that sideline interactive table that has the panel on the front, they kind of show the same thing. There's a whole bunch of different options. I'll let y'all look at them.
So what are the chances of like that being transported with no hiccup and it actually works over there and nothing gets shaken up and doesn't work anymore? I mean, my only concern is like we break it and it doesn't transport.
So I guess what happened was these that are in the junior high gym now were in the high school gym for a long time.
Okay.
And they did this last time.
Okay.
Do you know how long ago that was?
Just a few years, hadn't been that long.
Awesome. So once we do that, those will last 2 years, so we'll talk about this later. I just hate to put brand new
I
lights on
know.
this.
I'll think about finding some cheaper.
I know Spectrum are the cheapest, and every school I've ever been at uses Spectrum brand scoreboards. They go.
I don't want Spectrum to come back out here.
Every
They are troubleshooting our, scoreboard, and they shut down the schools.
They're
During the tournament.
they're terrible. But, you know, I'll have some good options. I'm not gonna get like some crazy marquee out of the deal with y'all. But I want y'all to have
I would
some,
like that one.
it's just not high enough. I want us to have good quality options that last us for 10 or 15 years, maybe it's longer. But I'll have more options for you. I just wanted y'all to have a heads up.
So what you're saying is that because the scoreboard in the junior high went out, we need to build a new gym with a higher ceiling.
That's right.
So we can get the cool scores.
As long as there's a
Hey,
back shop
Wells,
attached to it.
Texas, that Nowhere ISD, they had a huge gym with a like sunk down big thing.
I bet they,
It was crazy.
I bet they partnered with FEMA to make it a vaccine.
I don't know. I asked somebody that was from there, what in the world they had around there that they can have something like that. She's like, I really don't know.
A lot of districts do that, and they get FEMA money, and they use it as an evacuation center. FEMA's a bad word to me right now.
Well, the problem is we dealt with this in Gunbarrel City when I was a cop. And hurricanes coming in, everybody's trying to figure out how they can help New Orleans. And the city manager was named Corin McGrath. Told us, Corin, you need to understand something. They are not bringing your private. These are not the cream of the crop. So you need to select just how large you want each one. Because that's what you're doing with the 41.
Yeah.
And when you team with FEMA, you're taking a risk for that.
That's true.
It's once every few years and you get to use the gym every
Fair's in.
Isn't that how Lumberton got theirs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
They got a theater arts.
Okay.
Trash here too, that we do.
I think Galveston met with their response. So,
yeah, our constituents is gonna love them boarding slots. It's a trending fad.
Too bad room for a bomb.
I feel like we've already done.
I don't pay any more taxes.
All right, so move on. Need to, consider action to extend the depository contract with PNC Bank on Texas Education Code, Chapter 45, Subchapter G, School District Depository.
This is the annual thing we do every year.
Every 2 years. Yes, ma'am.
I'll make a motion for you.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. Motion made by Farrell, seconded by Michael, all in favor? Any opposed? We need to, consider action for the donation of employee local days.
So this is really quickly, this is just, right now, the board has allowed us to donate 2 of our bank's local days to an employee in need. And we have an employee in need, and so I'd like to be able to donate 3 if we get that employee sees fit.
I'll make the motion.
Sorry, motion made by Farrell, seconded by Rusty, all in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you, guys.
Change, board meeting date.
I'm sorry, I have to change the May date because allegedly I'll be graduating with my doctorate on May 9th. And I didn't want to jinx it, but I have to say it. I'll have to talk about it again. But, May 16th, if we can change it to that, does that give you enough time to change everything? I know you're trying to get your dates booked out.
Well, I'm good.
Okay,
Next 16th on Friday.
Thursday.
I'm looking at the calendar for next year.
Move it to the 16th and stuff.
If you all are good with that, there's nothing on the agenda, or sorry, nothing on the calendar yet.
Can we get a motion to change that meeting date? I'll do it.
I'll second.
Motion made by Michael, seconded by Farrell, all in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you guys so much.
All right. All right, because we like you. Yeah. We need to, consider the calendar for the 2024-2025 school year.
So we had a calendar committee meeting. We went in and we discussed with our committee, which was about 8 to 10 teachers. Both campuses were represented. They took our plan and as a committee, we fought back and forth and came up with 2 options. We submitted to the staff. This one approved with 80% approval. So just action consider for y'all to which you.
Any questions? I wish we had 61 days off and I was in school.
That's what I was looking at, different. I don't know my notes mean anymore. So we have 19 days after Christmas break and then we have winter break. And then we have. I'm saying that like our star scores were down. And that's right, like all this is right before star. Leading up to it. We have more instructional days earlier in the year than we do after Christmas to get them ready for the star. I don't know.
Is for next year, it will be April the 14th, the week of that week. 14th is when it starts. The window closes maybe 8th, I believe.
So there'll be
2 weeks.
Oh, yes, it's like the next week.
So this year we come back from spring break. We have a day and then we start testing, and as an admin staff, we were like, we can't do it again.
Yeah.
So next year we'll have 2 weeks, which is a little bit better. Traditionally, from every place I've ever been, I've never seen a winter break. I hear it's pretty cool. I don't know. But in March, the week of the 10th to the 14th is what I'm traditionally used to. And our committee was adamant for this, and then 80% of our teachers voted for it. At that point, I'm part of the committee. We did visit a lot about it. We voiced our suggestions.
Did any of the calendars not have winter breaks that they voted on?
The beginning calendar that we started with did not.
So the 8 committee members are the only ones that have a voice on that part.
We voiced, as a committee, we made some suggestions, and then they made some good points too, like, isn't it better to have rested teachers to teach your kids and rested minds to learn?
No, those kids aren't resting. They're staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning playing video games. Oh, they sleep all day and they play all day. It concerns me, to be honest.
And the students that are scholars are higher academic, that's able to retain, but the ones that is, you look at, our school has a lot of, one of the words you use. These kids they need that. It's not just about.
You don't think so? What's your opinion? You're shaking your head. I'm curious what you're thinking.
I think kids that get stressed out, that do need that mental break. One of the things that we found out the hard way is that those weeks that we have 5 days in, we didn't shorten those days. So we're still going 7:30 to 3:45. And so when you do that for 5 days, it takes a toll on little kids.
Oh, yeah, I
So-
understand that. I'm talking about having 2 weeks off before the test, right? You have your winter break, and then you have your spring break, and then you test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About 2 weeks back in the classroom before you test.
And what we were able to do is we were able to have schedule our spring break, to allow us 2 weeks ahead of STAR on this calendar as opposed to our this year calendar, where we come back and one day we go.
That's why I question the committee's judgment on that.
Right, and we have our 2 weeks, because usually that's how you do a STAR blitz, is you do a 2-week STAR blitz and really prepare them. And so that's whenever we were all talking about it, we made sure that we had that in there. And a lot of your teeth and a lot of your required curriculum is taught during the first semester.
Right, they're reviewing in the second semester.
Yeah, that first.
Yeah, I consider that too. I just know, like last year when it was presented to us, we were starting so early in August because we were going 4-day weeks, and we were also wanting to get all those days in of instruction before the December STAR retest. But we have more days for the retest for just a few kids than we have for the kids that are going to take, everyone's taking the STAR test. And to me, like logically, that doesn't make sense to me. That's why I'm asking questions. But
Please do. Please ask questions. It's fine. If you look at,
I mean, I love not having to get up and bring my kids
And you have
or
to think
whatever.
about, when we say we come back and we just start testing, like this year on my campus, we have 1 STAR test a week. So it's not like you're doing a week worth of STAR testing. You do.
Yeah, I'm talking about
one
having to take a
week,
test after
and
being
then-
out of school for a week. Like,
Yeah.
everybody talks about when you come back from Christmas break, it's like starting all over again because they've lost their minds. And So I'm just thinking if that happens at Christmas and then it happens again on winter break and what happens again on spring break, then we cut.
So you have this year's calendar.
But then spring people break and the big two, I think that, I think the first baby they just got off in November and December. I know it, but I think that sometimes we just need that.
So I'm not against it. I'd like to see the.
Well, I just know our scores were really bad.
I'd like to go back 3 or 4 years on the calendar. And let's look at our, days were set up on those years and look at corresponding scores. And let's see if we have anything to trend with for how the kids perform with different days. And let's maximize that performance.
Or is there like a such thing as not a whole week, just like a?
Yeah, and I should say, when I got here, you know, the schedule is not as many breaks, and my campus was
Your campus was what?
it was incomprehensive, which was scored for horrific for a second of 4 years in a row, or 3 years.
Wasn't, we started the 4-day weeks right at the COVID year.
Last
Was it last year?
Right after COVID, then
last year,
It's like
we were there second year and 4 days.
It's our third year.
No,
We approved the next year was gonna evaluate the course. You know, they kept saying.
Is it because of the babies or something else? That's it.
It's the redesign, the Star Text has been redesigned last year.
Yeah.
And so our
That's true.
scores were gonna go down, you know,
Oh, I had heard that, and
We also had to go to all 100% taking the STAR test on the computer. Which, no, there's not a single educator in the state of Texas that will tell you that's the case.
my question is how do you think days off affect the kids when they come back to the classroom? How long does it take to get them back under control, like when they have those stuff? You know, you're never gonna get all of them focused or most of them focused, but as best you can to, you know, herd the cats and get them headed in a general direction.
My youngest one, maybe a couple of days. My older one, maybe a day.
And this blitz for STAR testing, that sounds a whole lot like cramming for a test to make you become more.
Just refreshes their mind regarding, you know, because they have learned, their lessons since, you know, August. And then they go on to a new team, and they go on to a new team, and they go on to a new one. And then, even though we're spiraling that stuff in, it reminders and, hey, y'all remember we learned this, and it's just bringing it back to, be relevant for them, and just a lot of reminders.
a review.
Yeah.
Also,
It's a review for the test, but it's also, they know it, they just need to be reminded.
I think major differences between this calendar that's was proposed for next year and the calendar that we're living off of this year. This year, we had almost 3 weeks off at Christmas. This one has 2. This next year, we have no fall break, which is that extra day off in October. We did away with that. This year, a lot of instructional days were made up in May after the STAR test. On this one, we front-loaded those so that most of those instructional days that were in May are now in the fall semester with us getting out a week, isn't it a week later? Yeah, a week later in December. So that,
I didn't notice that, no, so.
I know, we
So we still have to start in the beginning of August?
And I believe it was the third 9 weeks, but actually a 10-week. With an extra week every week.
So we're trying to, instead of the way it is this year, where we backloaded days, we're trying to front load instructional days, but also still keep those, the 4-day week, and then also keep breaks, but shorten them down a little bit. Whereas, like we got rid of fall break, we shortened that Christmas. Which will make December really fun.
When did we used to start school?
But,
So it used to be, it used to be days. If you remember, they used to say we have to go to school a certain amount of days. and they switched all the hours, or minutes, sorry. So now it's 76,500 minutes. And this calendar is, you go to page 3, I don't know why there's an extra page left, sorry. This calendar is 77,835 minutes, which it gives us 4 days built in. 150 days of instruction at 520 minutes. A half a day would be considered 355 minutes. And then 163 staff work.
And this is the best that the TEA could come up with.
The 76.
So divvy this up by minutes. Did a math teacher do this to us?
Well, they're by minutes, but the staff are by days.
Yeah.
So that makes it even more difficult trying to get your staff days in and your minutes at the same time.
And this is what we're being led by.
Yes, sir.
If you want to make it more convoluted, if we went to work more days next year than we were at with staff days this year, we have to change our hourly pay rate to, so that our pay for our hourly associates don't change overall, but their hourly rate would have to change to fix that. It's a
And
big,
this is who's testing our children.
Yeah, this is what we've done to take care of it.
so trying to play by the rules that we're given. This is an option. The schools that are still 5 days a week, they just shortened down their instructional day. But their calendars look very similar. We brought a hybrid plan where we go 5 days early and we cut it back more and more as the year goes. But our teachers felt like they would rather keep that, keep some non-negotiables here.
So I would like to see, we've been looking at holistically what is affecting our schools on this time.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we don't have the data right now because of COVID apparently. However, that doesn't mean that we can't start tracking. Because we know that, you know, the short term, a kid's got about 16 minutes to get here to their night school and, you know, then you make it up to 20 depending on which child you're talking. There's neurological tracking that's going to maximize the benefit.
Mhm.
So I think that we should be tracking every aspect of that as a team and maximizing our schedule to help the kids as much as we can.
I think in 2 more years, if we have, because I'm not sure the data we have is valid and reliable, because we just came off of COVID, and last year was the first year we did this. If we do the 4-day week, 3 or 4 years, then we look at that, and then we can look at it against other districts that are like us, and like our size, and like our socioeconomic status, and we can cross kind of see who's got the better scores.
But I am a teacher fan.
Yeah.
So short of data, they know the kids, they know the environment, they make the best kids.
I think so.
So
Okay, I would totally agree with that. However, this year, we come back and have, what, how many days before they go?
2.
2 days before they get a test. I don't think
and
that
where did we come up with that calendar?
our committee,
Committee come up with it.
so
This year, that wasn't an option. And so we
Why
kind of,
was that not an option?
we visited as a committee.
It's the way theirs are.
We visited as a committee. We had to build a 2-week window. We had to build it.
it just makes me think, like, it's not in the best interest of kids always. Sometimes it might be for selfish reasons. Maybe that's not true. But if they come back and have to test on Monday or Tuesday after being out for a week, God help us. Like, I am a little nervous about that.
You know, there's studies out there that say the brain break is really good. We'll find out this year.
My thing is that we're worried about those 2 weeks, but we're still taking off those 2 Fridays. Why aren't we going to 4 weeks if those 2 weeks were so important for our?
Yeah, it's a good point. We could supplant those Fridays back in September and August.
I mean, I like my days. I hate being off in March. because
It's too wet to do anything for winter
Well,
break. It's muddy.
I will never be able to take vacation in March. Which, you know, so it's purposeful.
I don't really like every week. Well, like,
Well, there's-
does anybody do breaks the week after Star? Like, you've had all this stress and then you can be out the week after Star? Is that not a thing?
No, because it's in May, people are like, well, we'd rather just get out.
Well, it's not May, it's the last week of April.
But if there doesn't go through May 9th.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
April
I got you.
May 9th, I think.
It's not the main test. but
Totally
it's like-
spaced on that.
Yeah, there's 4 weeks of testing.
Yes, because we do all grades.
I mean, I would even add that week back to August and let's not start the beginning of August again, like,
That would be,
that way you have your summer.
beneficial to put on these things, just to, when our star dates are.
I can do that.
Just for the visual, so that you can
It's the
understand.
15th through the 25th is what I found on some web.
It's the 14th of April through May 8th. May 9th, sorry.
For that.
Well, all I know is we teach in blocks in the area that I work because of neurological and brain-based stuff. You've got 20 minutes from the start. And there's a power curve involved in that 20 minutes. We literally place the most important factors in that power curve because that's where they're going to retain the information. And then we move on to another topic, take a break, do something else, and that's an intentional reason. So I know that it matters. The problem is we've got multiple age groups and multiple capabilities. So we're looking to teachers to be able to assess and say,
And if it's not good for all students, it's not good for us.
well, it's not going to be good for all students. It's never going to be good for all students, and that's why it's important to go to primary. But we can maximize the numerics of the students that are receiving benefit. And you do that by primarily listening to your teachers and by reviewing the results. I'm not saying trust blindly, I'm saying trust but verify.
Well, that's what we did last year, was trust blindly. That's why I needed, like, that's why my calendar looks like this. Because I went and looked up dates, so I don't vote yes to something and next year have to say, oh crap, I approved that, like, I'm an idiot, like.
True, but it wasn't just you.
No,
83%
but I'm just
of
saying-
our teachers approved it.
Yeah, my thought was though, if there's two very similar calendars and I don't really give a crap, I'm just gonna click the button and get out of it. If you give me 3 really different options and one doesn't have this break, one has, but one starts this day, one starts that day, then I have an option of something extremely different. Then you see, I think that real, like 80-something% doesn't really impress me whenever they were only presented 2 very similar options.
Good point.
It does mean it's better than the other calendar,
I think
but they only have 2 options.
if our calendar committee participants were here, I think what we could say is that they received with overwhelmingly like positive results. Am I wrong with that? You guys were.
We started 3, you passed up 3.
Yes, and they were literally ripped.
And they were different. And
But the committee ripped it up.
Yeah.
So you can't say that the 83%
those
approval
committee members
overall.
had visited with their colleagues
Oh,
before
yes.
they got there.
So what I did is we sent it out for them to look at and go visit with their colleagues. And then they came to the committee later, and then we gave 2 more options.
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, in some situations, I'm very reserved, not right here, because this is all,
That's okay.
we have to make decisions and our names on it and on paper. But like, there's some situations, even if I cared about something, I'm not gonna voice that because I'm the lone person in that group and maybe I don't want a winter break, but everybody else does, and they're gonna stone me if I say I'm a teacher that doesn't want it, or I don't think it's best for kids.
I think-
They talked to
Yeah.
their colleagues.
I'm saying,
independent.
right.
I think our admin team can be my witness and me saying, I do not want a winter break. I've said it since I've been here. But I have been met with a lot of
I'm not saying get rid of like
Opposition.
those off days. I'm saying maybe could we move it somewhere else? Like, could we not start at the beginning of August so you have more time to spend with your family in the summer
some of them are the minutes that we have here. Because really, if I'm talking about what's best for kids educationally, we don't have. Yeah, but our teachers don't teach that.
Repeat what you just said. That's not.
I said, I think that we are off to educationally for our kids. We do need to be here.
61 days is ridiculous.
And when we have a certain amount of minutes we have to get, but it doesn't give you a lot of opportunity about when you start on the day. I mean, not unless you want to go way into June, and let me tell you, you're not going to do that.
Oh, no, I don't, but I don't want to start, like, what did we start this year?
On the fourth or something.
I was so sad when July started, because I was like, we haven't been on vacation and I'm running out of time.
What we've done is we've gone from shortening down when we start, and we've added those monthly days in August to Fridays. I mean, that's what it is.
But we also have longer days. Yeah. I mean, I love Fridays off, don't get me wrong. I'm just, the weeks off and the timing of it seems a little off. If I'm the only one that feels that way, let's move on with this. You don't, you're not. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
There's no place to move it.
The flip side of that is that we drop. You know, we can't pay what lots of other districts pay. And so to get our good quality teachers sometimes 4 day weeks.
No, I'm not saying it's every 4 days. It's definitely, I'm not saying every 4 days. Don't tell everybody I said that. That's
I am.
You can tell about the winter break, because I'll tell you all day long, I don't like the winter break and whatever, but then whenever I'm looking at days.
I've never experienced it. I don't know.
It's probably rain the whole week.
In school, we would get on like on Thursday. We had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Christmas. I mean, we only had like 3 days. We only took off like a day before the weekend in order to have it. We never even took off a whole week for.
I like taking it.
Traditionally, more morale drops in October and February. And so I know that's why we built the fall break in, but we have 3 day weekends. And that's why we built the, I'm assuming that's why we built the winter break.
We don't have a fall break in there.
Nope, not anymore.
The teachers were actually the ones who wanted to get rid of fall break.
Yep.
They were the ones who pushed to get rid of that long weekend.
And then move that day to an August Friday.
And I really wanted the fall break because I see the teachers.
That almost makes more sense to me. That makes more sense to me because it's like, you're not testing right after that. Like, I could see a fall break making more sense.
And even if it was just like a Thursday, Friday, or Friday.
Yes, or even a winter break that's a Thursday, Friday. Like, instead of a whole week off, you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
I think that was point of discussion was, could we break one of the breaks into just a day, like a Thursday, Friday, midday, or something like that?
That was a lovely. I
We're the ones getting, as it happens, we're the ones getting it.
Oh, we're gonna get sacrificed over this when we lose in a week before Christmas. You might as well get ready.
But they 80% of them approve it. Oh, you mean? Hey, you tell them to come up here and get this big fat paycheck to sit in the water, they don't like it, right? You do it for free. You guys are doing a great job. Anybody that has anything to say to you guys, please come here. These are hard decisions.
I'm gonna need to make one. I'll make the motion.
Let's take it.
It's either we're gonna pass it or we're not. So we can, let's go ahead and second it and put a vote. Just because you make a motion don't mean you have to vote yes.
Well, and while you're thinking about it, we will continue to collect data and come back with 2 years of evidence of how this is affecting our kids.
When do we have to have the calendar established? Is there a PDA date?
It's I think it's best practice to do it by February. That's what I think it is, because we were supposed to put it all last month.
Motion made by Michael, seconded by Debbie. All in favor? Aye.
I'll vote.
I hope so, you made a motion.
You don't have to,
I
though.
know, that's still.
All right, any opposed?
The reason I'm opposed is I think that we should.
You don't have to explain yourself.
Hang on a minute. Michael and Debbie, and then against is Sarah.
I don't need to hear anything.
I don't know who's against. Sarah? Sarah.
Shirley and Rusty.
Rusty. Dead on the right.
Okay. I got it.
All right, good.
I'm
So
sorry.
next, we're gonna go into executive session after we take a break. Me and Rusty go on, Rusty.
You didn't answer me.
I think we've got more.
You don't just have to keep it.
He's actually one of those I know.
What do you want to say right now? I think it's just a few, I mean, Michael too. We'll be on a separate road.
You said that multiple times. Why? And that's what the teachers will say, because I've heard them say it before.
Winter break, instructional days, what else? What else was it, point of contention, starting so early?
The reason we start so early is because we have so many breaks every year.
Mhm.
So it is to give our kids and our staff those way breaks. On another note, I have a folder that is just not that box. You should read it.
Oh, I got it. I got it.
No, I have like 5 pages there.
Oh, are they in yours?
It's, I stuck it in my mailbox. It's candy toss, it's for consultants that come in, come out of the thing. Very.
That's what you.
So that you have some information. No, we still.
Go get some sleep. You find hopefully. Yes, it will be.
She coming with you to the house?
It's all good.
She coming with you to the house? I'm feeling, I'm thinking.
What did you say? I'm gonna kill that if you guys are going.
Okay, you need to sign this, Mr. Tony. You tell me not really.
Okay, this is the managed just fine. And for last month, the chief was did the sign. So we got.
Close. Please.